So before you start to make an ancillary product or a spin-off brand, you have to kind of consider what people want. Is there demand for it? Is it possible to attract new customers? And then you can do things like checking out the competition, the also bots or the frequently bought together, reviews of those products, reviews of your own products, surveys to your mailing list, talking with readers, putting up some pre-order page on the website just to determine if there's interest in it. And as I said before, for my own book brand, I have these in 30-minute guides. I determined from the also bots and frequently bought together that people wanted cheat sheet products. These are smaller, less expensive products that people can just have as a desktop reference. And I saw other people doing it, and then I created my own and started selling them on Amazon. So you have to consider production issues and what your own team is capable of doing, because sometimes these things require skills that maybe your team doesn't have, or you have to talk to another type of manufacturer in order to do it. So for the cheat sheets, in the case that I just showed you, I had to find a local printer who could print these things up. I also had to make some other investments in order to get them properly designed and over to the printer. There's all kinds of different products you can have that are ancillary or another spin-off brand. It could be branded merchandise like a t-shirt. It could be a complementary product like the cheat sheets I just showed you, or it could be something digital product, not a free digital download, but actually a paid digital download that people can buy. And consider all of these things. Maybe your author might have some skills that might be relevant, and also consider what you need to outsource or what you need to purchase. And when I say what you need to purchase, for instance, if you're selling a certain type of item that's made from plastic, maybe do you need to purchase some sort of plastic mold in order to get it made? Those are the things that I'm thinking about. And also, how long will it take? I'm going to come back to this in a little bit with an interesting chart. So this is a book cover called Family Crests of Japan, and the publisher generously agreed to share it with me, Stonebridge Press. And what I do in some of my live sessions that I have with publishers is I do some product brainstorming. What could you make out of this type of book, like a spin-off or a complementary product? And keep in mind that this is kind of like Scottish clans, or the family groups from a certain area, a certain country. And in Japan, they actually have their own symbol, these beautiful symbols. And I think there's more than 200 of them, and this book covers all of them. And so when I've brought this book as an example and asked people in my live sessions to consider them, typically the types of things that come up are things like a poster showing off that all 200 of them, or maybe a subset of them. Maybe you could have like a map of Japan in the center, and you could have these crests going around with a little pointer or annotation showing where each clan comes from. You could do something simple like a coffee cup, or like a shoulder bag or something like that. But there's lots of possibilities for that. You could also maybe have some sort of downloadable product. I'm not sure what that might be that people could use for maybe some sort of, an exercise in class or something like that, or matching the shapes or something like that. So this is just general brainstorming, but the idea is you're looking at the IP you already have, the rights that you already have to republish these images and use them potentially in something else. So I like to show this quadrant chart kind of to consider what you might be able to make with the skills that you have on hand. And actually, the easy hard consideration at the bottom here, I think that's the most important thing. Something like a coffee cup or a t-shirt is very easy to do if you already have the artwork, because you can just go to one of these online services and just order a batch and then start selling them right away. Digital downloads, if you already have some piece of content that's available, like a PDF that you can make available to sell, you can do that too. When you start getting up to things like tools or toys or board games, custom clothing, that's a different story. That will require more efforts. For digital content, this is the blue shaded things. A podcast, that's actually really hard to produce. Video training too. A custom app, people have actually suggested that to me. Oh yeah, you should make a custom app for your in 30 minutes brand. And I basically, there's no way I would ever do that. That's a huge investment, costing tens of thousands of dollars at a minimum, and then you have to maintain it afterwards. So there's also the cheap and the expensive consideration. So consider that. There's lots of extra steps required. Some things like a coffee cup, that's actually not that hard to make, but when you're talking about a product, like I showed you the genealogy charts, these charts here, each one of these packages, you can see it right here, has to have well, not an ISBN, but a UPC code. And the UPC codes, they only come from a certain source. All right. Maybe you have to do some prototyping at first. You have to hire a designer to figure it out. You have to ship stuff between different manufacturers or to your office or to Amazon. Amazon has special requirements for certain types of products. So a toy with batteries, that will require some sort of certification or some maybe some extra requirements that you do not have to do. For instance, if you're doing cheat sheets or genealogy sheets. If it's age rated, so for children, that's another consideration. Amazon wants to make sure that kids are getting safe products. And then things like the shipping size and the weight to customers. And I learned this the hard way. When I first made one of my genealogy products, this one in fact, I made it too heavy. And that caused the fees, Amazon's fees, to go up greatly. So I had to adjust this product later on to make it easier to ship and not so heavy. Here's another example where you have to think of something. In my office, we have these boxes that we have to store these extra labels that we use for some of our products. And we do some very lightweight manufacturing in our office in order to get certain types of products out there. And so these are all considerations that you will have to do if you're going to be doing a spin-off product or a spin-off brand.